There is a new feature in Vyssuals, which is called channels, and it's meant to simplify the exchange of information between a person that's working in Revit and externals. Think about, for example, door schedules. It's something that comes up in every project, and usually this is done by exporting an Excel file from Revit, sending that Excel file to someone that knows about fire rating, for example. That person enters data in Excel and also messes up the Excel file completely, adds columns, adds rows, and then sends it back to the architect. And the architect needs to somehow find a way to bring that information back into Revit. Maybe they are technically capable and can run Dynamo scripts, or maybe they have like a Revit script set up, but this is all just fixing a fundamental, or this is not fixing the underlying fundamental issue that we have, which is the process is not good. We shouldn't be using Excel for this. We have much better options for this. Okay, so with Vyssuals open and connected to Revit, we can start this process. And the process starts with someone working in Revit. And what they do is they create a table. So come over to this Add Chart button, switch over to Table. Usually you don't want to group by anything, but you want to, let's just add the type name here. And then we do fire rating. And we'll also add the level to the table. There's level. Okay, and then the count can go away. So, and we also want to do this for doors, because we want to get feedback on doors. Whenever you share a model with external people, it's best to not overwhelm them with too much data. So it's always a good idea to focus on what matters. And to do that, we come over to the settings and we'll turn off, or actually turn on, just a few categories to sync, because someone working on doors probably doesn't need to know about cable trays or something. So the default set would maybe be doors, floors, roofs, and then walls, obviously. So this is the settings we'll make, and that will resync to the dashboard now. So you can see that in the dashboard we have doors, floors, roofs, and walls loaded. And this table here is only showing doors. So now we can come over to channels. We select a project, take this one here, and then we create a new channel. And it's good to name them by topics, even though they can be anything really. It's good to name them kind of the topic that you're working with. So let's say doors. We create that channel, and that spins up this channel on the server. And now with the table selected, you can see that when I select a table, I can create a snapshot. Click on that, and this is meant to be a versioned exchange. So the person in Revit loads data onto the server, gets feedback, incorporates that into Revit, and then uploads new data. So it's a good idea to start with version 1. We can now choose what columns should be editable for the other person. And in this case, we're assuming that we want feedback on fire rating, so we'll only make the fire rating column editable. The type name column will be visible, but it should be only there for reference. And then we say publish. And this is going into the Revit file and grabbing the 3D geometry and has published that to the server. And now we can say view channel. This opens up a new tab, and this is independent from Revit now. It's loading data from the server, not from the live Revit model. So we have a 3D view and we have a table. And this interface is kept simple on purpose because it's most likely that you'll share this with people that are not as tech savvy as people who work in Revit. This may be project managers entering information here or externals, like fire rating consultants. And you can see we're looking at snapshot version 1. And what the external person now does is they can just explore the model and enter their information that they need. So let's say this not rated is wrong and it should be 90 minutes. So 90 minutes. And you can see that the changes get propagated to all the types, because this is a type parameter, so we need to make sure that this would actually work in Revit. And this is one of the big advantages over Excel-based exchanges, is this knows about type information. And also, it shows us in 3D what elements have a change attached to it. But it may be that this person is not really sure yet. So what they can do is they can add a comment and say, I'm not sure yet. And then they add that. And this comment is now telling us what version of the data this comment was attached to. It's telling us the value that was in Revit and the suggested value. Okay. Yeah, and then this can go on and they can maybe look at this one and say, this actually is one of the non-rated ones. Okay. Good. So once they're done, they come over to their change and they can change the status and say pending review. This is submitting it for review for the architect. This is optional, doesn't have to be done, but it's good to just give a little heads up to the architects that this is ready for review. And they say save. And now they use whatever method of communication that you use in your project. They give the architect a call, they message them on Teams, or they write an email telling the architect, hey, I'm ready to go. And then we switch the role now. We come back and we are now the architect again. And the architect is connected to Revit. Now the architect can again load all the information from the channel, and it sees that these proposed changes here are blue, ready to go. Now I'm using the same account for all of this, but this would then show the email address of the person that made the changes actually. And now with this button here, you can pull the changes into the dashboard and see what they suggested. So we say pull changes. It creates the table that was used to upload to the channel, just in case you lost the original table that you used to upload the data. So we can delete this one and just work on this. And then we can filter just for the rows that have changes attached to them. And by the way, on the channel route, that is the same. So you can just filter on the things that have changes, or you can just look at the things that have comments. By the way, comments are, they'll have this little blue dot here so that you can easily spot them in the 3D file. So that's the same here. This mechanism works here as well. Yeah, and then in here as well, we can use this coloring button to color Revit according to the proposed changes. We can see, okay, it's those doors that have some proposed changes. And now we can look at the comments and see, okay, and we say, okay, don't worry, or something. Post that comment as well. So you can have a conversation that's going on about this, this specific cell. Yeah, and then the Revit person decides if this is something that actually makes sense or not. You can either approve them all at once. If you're blindly trusting the other person, that's fine. Or you can go through and say, yep, this is a change that is okay, but this right here, for whatever reason, I can't have that. And then again, you can color the Revit file to just check Okay, this is the information that would now go into the Revit file. And when you're done, when you're ready, you click Send Approved Changes to Revit. And they turn green once they have been successfully integrated into Revit. And now you want to come over to Channels again, select that channel here, and update the status on this one here to Reviewed. And that will put the red and the green markings on the changes back to the channel so the other person can see did my change end up in Revit or not. So it's just a good way to keep track of what has happened in the project. Now, you probably want to lock the snapshot that these changes were created on to prevent the other person from entering new changes while you have already dealt with them. So we'll say save. And what would be also a good idea now is to upload a new data set that reflects the current state of the Revit file. And still with this table selected, we say create snapshot. And we say version 2. And we say publish. That goes up. And then when we come over again to the channel, we can refresh. And we can see that it's now loaded version 2. There are no changes that show here because they have because version 2 doesn't have any proposed changes. But if we want to, we can come over to this list icon here, and we can go back in time and look at the old state. And you can see that it's now coloring according to what has happened with the changes in the Revit file. So the green ones made its way into the Revit file, and the purple ones up here were the ones that we rejected. And you can also see that there's now 2 comments on this cell, and you can see both comments from both people. Yeah. Now you're probably wondering, okay, how do I share this channel with the external person? And you can do that by coming over to this manage icon here, and you can add an external user to this channel just by entering their email address. And once you've done that, you copy this link and send it to them via email or Teams or whatever. This system does not send out emails on your behalf. You do the communication, so you stay in control. Yeah, and that is the workflow here. I think this is a big level up on top of the Excel-based approach, much more structured, much more controllable. You decide what information the other person gets, what they can change. There's a structured exchange going on, and yeah, just this table and this 3D viewer with the ability to just turn off some things here, or maybe even just look at just one level, is really helping you make a better workflow. Also filter here, right? So this is like full on viewer, a lot of capabilities to really improve your workflows. And with that, that was it.